You don't really deserve anything. That's the hard start to this. I'll explain why I think that's actually very important to mental health. There's a lot of entitlement in the world, specifically, I think, in Western cultures, definitely here in the US. Um, there's an interesting thing that a lot of having will produce a weird sense of lack for a lot of people. So you think about how well we have it here in the US, that by pretty much every metric, it's better to live here than most places in the world. Um, you can probably point to certain places where it's like, oh, they do it better, but overall, this is a very good place to live. And it's so good for most Americans that we kind of make up problems to flip out about. We make up news cycles. Um, and you think about how other countries and cultures are just trying not to die, and they're just trying not to be killed in a civil war. They're just trying to maybe have the right to vote or try to have the right to go to school or just basic human rights. And then we over here, and I hesitate to really go into any of the examples, but I think you can put them together. Just think about the things that you hear your neighbors and your friends and the people on the news complaining about. It's really ridiculous, and a lot of our complaints are very privileged complaints. And I'm not saying it's bad to try to acknowledge and make change, but the end of the world level degree that we put on these things is wild. Um, most of us in this country really don't know pain and suffering and discrimination and this severe lack of safety that a lot of the world knows. Most of us just don't get it, and definitely not to the degree that a lot of the world understands it. And that's very reflective, I think, in a lot of behaviors. Now, it doesn't mean there's certain things that don't make sense to start being a topic as time goes on. So there's a really good Louis C.K. joke about him calling a helpline because like his internet's having some issues or whatever. And again, this is supposed to be a joke, but he says that he hangs up if the person doesn't sound like a white American, essentially, where if it's an outsourced call center. And again, I don't know if it's true or not, but the joke being he doesn't want someone to help him who can't relate to the problem because it's so first world and privileged to be upset that your internet's down for like an hour. And so he's like, I want to talk to some some random person in America that's dealing with the same thing I do, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, I totally get that. We can't have your internet down." Versus someone who struggles to pay the bills and doesn't even have internet in their own country and things like that. Like just, and I think it's a really good joke where the internet is useful and we do a lot of useful things with it, or we can. But at the end of the day, it's a privilege, and it's a bit of a culturally important thing in how we function here, but also not required to live. And so the the idea of we don't deserve anything. What I mean is the less you deserve, and I'm sure there's a limit to here to this point, but the less you deserve, the more gracious and happy you'll be with what you have. So it's not about dismissing what you are owed and what you've earned. But whenever people tell me I deserve something, it's very kind of cringy to me because I just don't. That's my philosophy on this. We don't deserve anything. We have rights to things and we've earned things. But the way that I view it in my relationship to the world and to just the broader universe is nothing is owed back to me. And really everything that I do should be towards moving the world forward and towards a deeper purpose that we have. And I understand that a lot of us, work is one example. People need money, and a lot of people, if they didn't have to earn a living, just wouldn't work. Um, or they'd perhaps work different jobs or do different things. And that's you're earning a living, and that's through an arrangement. You've entered into an agreement, and you've earned that. There's a really good passage of scripture that I like. It's a quote from Jesus giving one of his parables, but he talks about a man hiring labor to work his fields, and he hires some people in the morning, some people midday, and some people later in the day. And then he pays them all the same amount. And the people who worked the whole day are upset. And they said they worked way less than us. Why should they get the same as us? And the response from the employer is that this is my money and I can pay people what I want. And the important takeaway in that is he's not paying everyone less. He's paying everyone a livable and functional wage, even the people who started late. And so the entitlement from the first people is they were content with what they received originally. But then when they compared it to, but that person got the same, I deserve more. And his point is you're getting paid what we agreed to, and it is fair. And me, as the person who provides that, is choosing to bless the other people with the same, and that's allowed. And the ultimate point of that isn't um, labor and costs. I actually think it's more related to salvation. But there's just really good, I think, parables and stories about understanding what we earn versus what we deserve. And if we can come at life with a perspective of I just don't deserve what I have. And again, you can't be doing it in a detrimental way. Another way to look at it is I'm just not entitled to things. I'm not entitled to the American dream. I'm not entitled to even a happy life. I'm not entitled to a house or a car or anything. And that every day that I have any of these things, I'm blessed to have them and I should be grateful for it. And the more we focus on what we have, the happier we're going to be. Because when we're only focused on what we don't have, we'll always not have. I mean, think about the number of billionaires that are buying more things and earning more money, and they don't need it. But there's more out there that they don't have. And people in power that want more power. There's always more to be had, and there's always more to lose. So if we can just be content with what we are given on a daily basis and just what we have in life, we're going to be so much better off. And it doesn't mean we don't have goals. For instance, I don't have a house right now. Um, I don't think I need to explain reasons for that. It's a hard market for a house, but I don't feel like I deserve it or that it's mine by some weird right. I would love one, and there's a lot of things that, I'm a musician. It's kind of annoying to try to practice music in apartments where you have neighbors. It's harder to host a lot of people. I'd like to have people over more, and I'd like to have more bedrooms to let family and friends come over and be hospitable, but I can't. And I can sit and focus on all the reasons why I can't do those things. Or I can be happy that I actually have an apartment that is, sure, rented, but it's mine in that sense. It belongs to my wife and I in the renter sense of it. And I love the neighborhood we're in, and I love the part of town we're in, and I love the proximity of the apartment to things in my life. And it could be way worse. You think about those dystopian movies where people are walking to their apartment and there's people just like doing drugs and there's prostitutes in the stairwell and it's everyone's got a gun walking around, and I don't live like that. And so there's a lot, and I know I'm giving a movie example, but there are plenty of places where it's not safe to just walk to your apartment. And we live in a part of the world where at any time of night we can just go outside and walk around, and so can every other neighbor, and nothing's going to happen. So there's a lot to be grateful for, and there are houses that are nowhere near as safe as the neighborhood that I'm in. So it's like there's there's only things to be grateful for, and I'm preaching to myself a lot with this because I'm a naturally pretty critical person, and that can not always bring up entitlement, but it can bring up an awareness of what I don't have or being critical of what's good and where it lacks. So something's like 99% good. It's easy for me to notice the 1% bad, which is a useful skill and a strength to have. It just has to be filtered through healthy, healthiness and productivity and usefulness, not just hypercriticism. It needs to be encouraging. So yeah, don't be entitled. Nobody owes you anything. You don't deserve anything. And as other humans, that's helpful for us to think to ourselves, but not to project. So if we get in the habit of being like, they don't deserve it, they haven't had a right to it, they shouldn't get this. That's not helpful either. I think we don't have a right to believe that everything belongs to us and that we should have more. But we have the privilege of being able to offer more to other people. And at the end of the day, it's not about fairness. It's not about getting back the same that we give in. If anything, the world would be a beautiful place if everyone worked hard to make sure that they gave more than they received. If I made it a goal that every arrangement I made benefited the person 60% and me 40%, and if everyone did that, everyone would be overstepping in a really positive way. And think about, for instance, I love Chipotle. It cost me about $9.50 to get what I want, to get what I mostly want. I do like the guacamole, but I'm not about to spend $13 on a regular basis for that. But about $9.50. Now, how often do I go and spend my own $9.50 on Chipotle? Honestly, not very often. People know I love it, and they give me gift cards, and I use those usually till they're out and then take a break. But occasionally, I'll spend my own money and $9.50 on Chipotle. But I'm more likely to buy a friend of mine a more expensive burrito or bowl than I am to buy it for myself. And I'll spend maybe $13 on them. And then if another friend buys me a meal, I don't in my mind go like, well, I spent $13 and then I got what I don't think about that. My thought is I'm giving someone something. Nobody deserves Chipotle. But if I want to gift it to someone, that's so much easier for me to gift than to give myself something because it's an offering to them as a kindness. And then you think about how this can circulate, and it's not like a pay it forward chain or anything like that. But if we're prioritizing, I want to make sure the other person comes out of this better than I do. If a lot of people are doing that, then everyone's coming out really good. And even if the results are roughly the same, people often feel better because of what they're giving. We usually feel better giving than we do taking. There's a lot of research on the importance of giving and helping other people, and especially giving when people can't give back. There's a lot on that. So, anyway, I won't drag this on too much longer. If you're the type of person that feels entitled and deserving of things, I'm guessing you're a very frustrated person, and I want to encourage you to do less of that. And maybe for a day or two, just practice gratitude and catch yourself anytime you feel like you're owed something. And there can be a balance here because there are times where we should fight for what is ours and what we have earned and what is right. That's important. But there is a line between that and selfishness and entitlement. So something to reflect on. Yeah. Anyway, bit of a different video from my perspective here. So if you like what you heard, I got more of these. Come watch. We're coming up next week, I think, on the 1 year anniversary of doing these, so that's pretty fun. Either next week or the week after, I'll try to acknowledge that and reflect on the year of doing these videos because it's been a lot of fun. Um, if you're interested in therapy services, reach out in the links below. Reach out to me. I'll help you get connected with me or someone else. And if you like the channel, like, subscribe, share it. It's been fun getting it growing a little bit and talking to y'all. So I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.